This is Nightline and I am Pritha Manivannan. News making the headlines. Perikatan National support for Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri as Prime Minister conditional. And dine-in allowed in NRP's Phase 1 states. Good morning. Perikatan National PN has unanimously agreed to nominate former Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob as the coalition's prime ministerial candidate. PN Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, who revealed this in a statement on Thursday, however said the support came with conditions. According to Tan Sri Muhyiddin, should Datuk Sri Ismail be appointed to the post by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the Borough Member of Parliament must ensure that the cabinet lineup comprises of those with integrity, trustworthiness and free of any charges in court. He added that the new government under his leadership must also continue to practice of respecting the separation of powers, protecting judicial independence and upholding the constitutional monarchy. Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who is also the caretaker Prime Minister, said all 50 of its MPs, comprising 31 from Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, 18 from PAS and 1 from Parti Solidariti Tanah Airku STAR, submitted their statutory declarations supporting Datuk Sri Ismail to Istana Negara on Wednesday. 4 other PN-friendly independent MPs had also done the same. He also said that he had consulted Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS and Parti Bersatu Sabah PBS leaders that formed the previous PN government to take a similar resolution. The PAGO MP stated that the decision to nominate the UMNO Vice President was made to ensure the continuity of the PN government's policies focusing on fighting COVID-19 and restoring the country until the time is right to hold the 15th general election to return the mandate to the people. Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who resigned on Monday, said this decision also meant that PN prioritised political stability and the welfare of the people over politics and power struggle. Earlier, the Bersatu president arrived at Istana Negara at 2:49 p.m. via the main gate, accompanied by a motorcade, and was believed to be the last MP to be granted an audience with the king. It was a busy day at Istana Negara with 114 MPs arrived in batches to have an audience with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Thursday to affirm their support for Datuk Sri Ismail as the 9th Prime Minister. It was understood that only lawmakers from the group with numbers exceeding the winning margin were invited to the palace. The MPs arrived in chartered buses, with the first one carrying the first group of UMNO MPs on board, entering the palace grounds at 10:38 a.m. Shortly later, another bus transporting a group of Bersatu and independent parliamentarians arrived, and this was followed by several more buses, which were also packed with BN and PAS lawmakers. Datuk Sri Ismail, who is touted as the prime ministerial candidate, was also seen in one of the buses ferrying the MPs. It was understood that the audience with the king was held in 5 batches, with 4 of them held physically, while another, involving GPS elected representatives, was conducted virtually. Speaking to reporters outside Istana Negara Gate 2 after the final MP had arrived, UMNO Secretary-General Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan said each audience only lasted about 1 or 2 minutes.
Telah ditemuduga secara ringkas seorang demi seorang oleh Kebawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Dan di dalam pertemuan ringkas itu, setiap ahli parlimen tentunya menyatakan nama dan daripada kawasan mana. Kemudian tentunya menyatakan bahawa memberi sokongan kepada Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri tanpa paksaan, dengan suka rela.
He also said there was no talk about the future cabinet lineup, adding that it is up to the king on when the swearing-in session of the new premier will be held. After the audience with the king had ended, the MPs left Istana Negara, some on board the chartered buses, while others using their personal vehicles, with the last batch exiting the palace at about 3:50 p.m. Meanwhile, all 17 GPS parliamentarians and 1 independent MP have verified their support for a single candidate as the 9th Prime Minister during the virtual audience with the King on Thursday. GPS Chief Whip and Parti Persaka Bumiputra Bersatu PBB Senior Vice President Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof, who confirmed this, however declined to reveal the candidate's name.
Untuk mengesahkan pertama sekali kandungan peraturan sumpah dan mengesahkan bahawa apa pilihan kita ini adakah ianya atas rela hati, dan itulah pengesahan yang dibuat tadi. Kami ada 18 orang tadi dan mengesahkan bahawa kita dah memilih calon Perdana Menteri dan mengesahkan bahawa calon yang kita pilih ini atas rela hati daripada setiap ahli parlimen, GPS khususnya dan juga ahli parlimen Sarawak, sebab yang bebas tadi pun ada bersama dengan kita.
The GPS lawmakers and Lubo Antu Independent MP Jugah Muyang participated in the audience session virtually from a hotel in Kuching, except for Bintulu MP Datuk Sri Tiong King Singh, who is in Kuala Lumpur and personally went to Istana Negara to have an audience with the King. In another development, PKR Communications Director Fahmi Fadzil has confirmed that Pakatan Harapan PH members of Parliament were not summoned for an audience with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong at Istana Negara on Thursday. He said the opposition lawmakers did not receive any invitation from the palace to prove their SDs in support of a new Prime Minister candidate. Aside from Datuk Sri Ismail, PKR President Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has also been named as candidate for the country's number one post. Meanwhile, Tan Sri James Masing said a Deputy Prime Minister should be picked from Sarawak or Sabah in recognition of the Borneo State's contribution to forming a new government and stabilising Malaysian politics. In particular, the Sarawak Deputy Chief Minister said the new federal administration should acknowledge the role of Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS by giving the post to Sarawak. Tan Sri Masing, who is Parti Rakyat Sarawak PRS President, said 2 Deputy Prime Minister positions should be created to accommodate one from the peninsula-based parties and one from Sarawak and Sabah. GPS comprises Parti Pesaka Bumi Putra Bersatu, Sarawak United People's Party, PRS, and Progressive Democratic Party. More restrictions in the social and economic sectors in Phase 1 states and onwards under the National Recovery Plan (NRP) have been eased beginning Friday. This includes allowing dine-in activities for individuals who have completed their vaccination, as well as non-contact outdoor sports, recreational and leisure activities, but confined to only within the same district. Caretaker Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the decision to relax some of the standard operating procedures SOPs was made during the National Security Council NSC meeting, which he chaired on Thursday. This after taking into account that over 50% of the adult population in the country have been fully vaccinated, which was achieved earlier than the targeted date of August 31st. For dine-in activities, eatery owners must ensure that individuals entering their premises to dine in display their COVID-19 vaccination digital certificate as proof. Food operators are also advised to provide more dining space outside the premises for better ventilation, as the risk of the virus being spread was much higher inside. For fully vaccinated couples accompanied by children aged 17 and under for dine-in, the Premier urged them to ensure their children adhere to strict SOPs. On sports and recreational activities, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said it was allowed but subjected to compliance with physical distancing and done outdoors, including semi-outdoor areas from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. They include activities such as jogging, fishing, equestrian, archery, golf, motoring, camping and hiking. The participation of children aged 17 and below is also allowed with strict compliance with the SOPs. The NSC has also decided to allow night markets and weekend markets to operate in Phase 1 states and onwards, provided the operators and visitors show their digital COVID-19 vaccination certificate. If infections occur in premises that enjoy these privileges, the Health Ministry will immediately take action, and those premises could face closure or be slapped with compounds if they are found to have violated the SOPs. For the record, those who received vaccines that require 2 doses are only considered to be fully vaccinated after the 14th day of receiving their second shot, while individuals given single-dose vaccines are considered fully vaccinated after the 28th day of receiving their jab. Celebrity preacher involved in allegations of sexual harassment. The details and more when we return.
opening another chapter in the Malaysian political landscape, rebooting a pandemic-stricken economy and curbing resurgence of COVID-19 infections. The outlook of Malaysia's economic prospects with Bank Islam's chief economist, Dr. Muhammad Abzal Nizam Abdul Rashid, this Saturday with me, Azaria Tagaya, at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
여기가 어딘지 아세요?
얘들아, 뭐 어쩌자는 거야? 당신들 이게 뭔지는 알고 써먹는 거야?
괜찮으세요? 아저씨!
Welcome back. Continuing research into COVID-19 will help the authority to keep understanding the disease to improve clinical care and public health measures in curbing the pandemic. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said this as research plays an important role in returning to the norm. In his keynote address at the 14th National Conference for Clinical Research, NCCR-themed Niche to Norm, held virtually on Thursday, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham stressed that the battle against COVID-19 is still ongoing and reminded the people to remain vigilant. He said during this time last year, only around 9,200 people were infected with COVID-19 in Malaysia, but the number had now increased more than 100-fold to surpass the 1 million mark. To assist the Health Ministry's efforts in managing the COVID-19 pandemic, the Institute for Clinical Research, together with local and international collaborators, had developed a digital health solution to remotely monitor the safety of the COVID-19 home quarantined patients.
The COVID-19 digital quarantine and home monitoring solution uses the Internet of Medical Things and artificial intelligence to provide doctors with real-time information on the health status of home quarantine patients, therefore enabling doctors to provide a fast and targeted treatment plan.
Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham pointed out that the use of digital health was also crucial in the fight against COVID-19, such as the use of My Sejahtera application for remote health assessment, contact tracing, and facilitating the vaccination process. Meanwhile, his Deputy for Research and Technical Support, Datuk Dr. Hisham Shah Muhammad Ibrahim, said clinical trials have been steadily growing in Malaysia for the past 2 decades, despite it was still considered foreign territory within the country's healthcare fraternity.
Cumulatively, at least 1,500 clinical trials performed here within our shores. Our strength and experience in clinical trial has contributed to Malaysia being among the few countries in the Western Pacific region to be chosen for some COVID-19 vaccine trials.
Among the discussions during this year's NCCR include developments of COVID-19 vaccines, genomics in cancer and other non-communicable diseases, as well as artificial intelligence in clinical medicine. In the meantime, Malaysia's COVID-19 cases soared to 22,948 on Thursday, barely a day after it set a new record. Southeast Asia's third largest economy has chalked up 1,489,460 cumulative cases to date since the start of the pandemic last year. Selangor still holds the top spot for highest number of cases by state, recording 7,175 cases. This is followed by Sabah with 2,583 cases and Kedah with 2,137 cases. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said only 2% of Thursday's cases were in categories 3, 4 and 5, which require hospitalization, while the remaining 98% were in categories 1 and 2. Malaysia also recorded 178 new deaths, involving 155 locals and 23 foreigners. This number includes 35 who were brought in dead, of which 26 were locals, while 9 were foreigners. The Health DG added that there are 1,060 currently being treated in the intensive care units, with 528 of them needing the help of ventilators. On COVID-19 clusters, 42 were detected in the last 24 hours, with 23 of them involving workplaces. In Kedah, the body of another victim of the floods and landslides that were caused by the upstream rush of water phenomenon in the Gunung Jerai area was found at the Kedah Regional Development Authority area in Sungai Udang Yan on Thursday. Fire and Rescue Department's Deputy Director General of Operations, Dato' Abdul Wahab Mat Yassin, said the body of 28-year-old Muhammad Faisal Muhammad Zohir, who went missing in Titi Hayun, was found after the search area was widened.
Memang suatu yang sukarlah kerana ia merupakan kepala air yang membawa sisa-sisa hutan, tunggul kayu, batu dan juga lumpur. Ada kemungkinan menyebabkan masa ini tertindih ataupun tertimbus yang memerlukan pencarian yang begitu teliti lah. Dan difahamkan juga unit K9 ada.
He added the department is also using 2 drones to conduct aerial surveillance of the search operation, which involves an area that spanned a radius of 7 kilometers to help speed up the process of locating the other 2 victims missing. The incident on Wednesday, due to high intensity of rainfall over the mountain peak, had so far claimed 4 lives and left 1 person injured, while 2 more are still missing. It also resulted floods in several nearby villages and residential areas. Celebrity preacher Abid Irawan Ibrahim Liu, or better known as Ustaz Ibit Liu, gave his statement to the police on Thursday to facilitate investigations into allegations of sexual harassment. Bukit Aman's Criminal Investigation Department Director, Datuk Sri Abdul Jalil Hassan, said the case is being investigated under the Penal Code, Minor Offences Act and Communications and Multimedia Act. In a statement, Datuk Sri Abdul Jalil said that investigations would continue until the police was satisfied enough to refer the case to the Attorney General's chambers for advice and further action. He also reminded all parties not to make any speculation and provocation or to circulate any material that could affect the investigation. Earlier, the celebrity preacher, better known as Ibit Liu, when met by reporters outside the Federal Police Headquarters, said he gave full cooperation to the police to assist in the investigation over the allegations. Authorities recorded his statement for 1 hour before he was seen leaving the area at about 2 p.m. It was believed that the probe was related to a video which went viral on social media showing a man resembling the preacher. Thousands still desperate to leave Afghanistan after Taliban take over. We'll be right back.
Ta-da!
How does it feel to lose everything? Your job, your identity.
इश्क करना अगर खता है तो सजा दो मुझे.
거기 누가 없어요. 여기가 어딘지 아세요?
얘들아, 뭐 어쩌자는 거야? 당신들 이게 뭔지는 알고 써먹는 거야?
Nightline continues. Taliban fighters manned checkpoints around Kabul's airport on Thursday as concerns built they were blocking Afghans from reaching evacuation flights, with the United States demanding safe passage. Thousands of Afghans were packed between Taliban checkpoints and a US-imposed ring of steel around the airport, desperate to get on board any flight out. Even more were mobbing foreign embassy compounds in the capital as rumors spread that visas were up for grabs or safe passage on offer at least as far as the airport. Tens of thousands of people have tried to flee Afghanistan since the hardline Islamist group swept into the capital on Sunday, completing a stunning rout of government forces and ending 2 decades of war. Taliban leaders have in recent days repeatedly vowed not to seek revenge against their opponents while seeking to project an image of tolerance. They have also sought to portray growing political authority, with Taliban co-founder Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar returning from exile and other senior figures meeting ex-President Hamid Karzai. Meanwhile, former Afghan President Ashraf Ghani released a video message on Wednesday from the United Arab Emirates, which earlier confirmed it was hosting him on humanitarian grounds. He said he hopes to return home after fleeing in the face of the Taliban's rapid advance, and said he supported talks between the Taliban and top former officials.
در آخر برایتان یک پیام مهم دارم. من قصد فرار و جلاوطنی ندارم. فعلا در امارات هستم تا از خونریزی و فاجعه جلوگیری شده باشد. همین حالا در مشوره هستم تا به افغانستان برگردم و به تلاش‌هایم برای تأمین عدالت، حاکمیت افغان‌ها بر کشورمان و اعاده ارزش‌ها و دستاوردهای واقعی اسلامی و ملی مردم افغانستان با هم مبارزه کنیم.
The former leader also denied selling his people out and did not flee for his own advantage to save his own life. According to a monitoring group, Taliban leaders have said they have pardoned all former government officials. Ghani succeeded Karzai as leader of Afghanistan in 2014. Police in Hong Kong have arrested a university student for drug trafficking in a major operation that saw the seizure of almost 200 million Hong Kong dollars or $25 million worth of illegal drugs. It was the force's biggest seizure of crystal meth and heroin in a single operation this year.
Altogether, we seized 234 kilograms of drugs, including 148 ice and 86 kilograms of heroin. And this, actually, the seizure of heroin and ice is the largest seizure up to this year.
Police said that the drugs were linked to a syndicate that had been under investigation for months. The 22-year-old suspect was likely to be charged with drug trafficking and would be brought before court on Friday. The warehouse was located after officers raided and closed down another 5 small-scale drug storage centers that led to the arrests of 8 men and 4 women aged between 16 and 45. Those charged with trafficking in a dangerous drug face a maximum penalty of a life in prison and a 5 million Hong Kong dollar fine. Action from the US Major League. Sports coming up next.
What if your wife and daughter were killed by bomb?
Dia kehilangan anak perempuannya angkara satu tragedi.
I do everything in my power to get justice.
Kini, dia memburu kebenaran yang kian membongkar satu konspirasi.
거기 누가 없어요. 여기가 어딘지 아세요?
얘들아, 뭐 어쩌자는 거야? 당신들 이게 뭔지는 알고 써먹는 거야?
괜찮으세요?
Now on to sports football, the US Major League. Inter Miami bounced back from their loss on the weekend as they came back from behind to beat Chicago Fire 3-2 on Thursday. Miami took the lead in the 34th minute goal thanks to a close-range strike from Indiana Vasilev. Francisco Calvo, however, cancelled the opener just before the break when he headed home a corner kick to make it 1-1. Chicago eventually went in front 3 minutes after the interval after Luka Stojanovic fired home to give his team a 2-1 lead. But Robbie Robinson levelled the matters 2 minutes after the hour mark, finishing off an assist from Gonzalo Higuain. Rodolfo Pizarro then completed the comeback for Miami as he struck a first-timed shot in the stoppage time for a 3-2 final scoreline. The win lifted Miami to 12th spot, 1 point behind Chicago on the 11th in the Eastern Conference standings as they both pushed on to escape relegation. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, Daniel Saloy's extra-time equalizer gave Sporting Kansas City a 1-1 draw with the Portland Timbers on Wednesday night. Chilean international Felipe Mora put Portland ahead in the 17th minute before the Hungarians' 12th goal of the season pulled the home side even. The 1 point was not enough for Sporting to remain atop the league standings as Seattle Sounders beat FC Dallas 1-0 to lead the standings with 39 points after 20 matches. Over in Indonesia, a talented artist, Asep Saupi, has filmed himself recreating the faces of famous cartoon characters and people on tree leaves, such as SpongeBob SquarePants, Kakashi from the Naruto franchise, and also famous figures such as footballer Lionel Messi. Let's take a look at the video that has gone viral online with millions of views. I'm Pritha Manivannan. Thank you for watching, and remember, Malaysia, stay safe.